Hey everybody, welcome back, and if you're new, my name is Chris. It's a spectacular, sunny, and warm day here in the Midwest, and even though I was fighting it for a little bit, fall is here. Even though today is a nice warm day, I believe it's currently 85 degrees. I got home from work a little bit early, and it's time to talk about fall perfumes. Fall fragrances, cold weather fragrances are some of my favorite fragrances to wear, and since I have so many I want to get through, I thought I would divide it into two. I would do my top 10 designer fall fragrances and some niche. Today's video is my 10 designer fall picks. I'm not here to sell you perfume. I'm not here to convince you to buy something. These are just fragrances that I think are the best designer fragrances for fall that I have in my collection. And with that, I'm just gonna jump right in. These are in no particular order. I just have a basket right next to me and I'm just gonna reach in and go. But that being said, the one I have in my hand is one of my very favorite cold weather fragrances. Now, I could technically wear this all year round. To me, it just screams colder weather, and it is a fragrance I talk about a lot. I didn't talk about it over the summer because I didn't wear it over the summer, but it is Caftan by Yves Saint Laurent. This is a gorgeous fall amber fragrance. It's very sweet, it's very resinous, it's very smoky. It's also very balsamic. This is a benzoin heavy fragrance, but it also has incense. There's just a touch of brightness. There's pink pepper, there's orange or tangerine. That offsets some of the heavier notes in here. This is sweet, but it's not gourmandy sweet. And I think it's the benzoin that gives it a sweetness, whereas a lot of vanillas can turn something into a gourmand. This is one of my favorite fragrances for sure. I love it. And despite the fact that it has a lot of strong notes, it is not overpowering, it's not heavy, very moderate in projection and moderate in longevity. So the next fragrance is one that I don't talk about often. It is an absolute beautiful fragrance. It is signature scent worthy, and I don't wear it as often as I need to. And it is Mon Guerlain Intense, the EDP Intense version. I actually sampled both before purchasing one, and this has, or the DNA, the core notes in the Mon Guerlain, if you're not aware, are patchouli, lavender, and vanilla. I prefer the EDP Intense because it has more vanilla and the lavender's toned down. It's just more my vibe. And I also think that this lasts a little bit longer. It just speaks to me. It's more me. It's a gorgeous scent. Every time I smell this, I ask myself, why do I not wear this more often? It needs to get more wear. It's a beautiful fragrance. And it's lovely not just for fall, but all year round. I love this. And it's doing videos like this that remind me there are perfumes in my collection that I overlook and need to give more love to. This one for sure. So the next one is no stranger to anybody probably in the audience. The original, or the OG of this version, I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't a huge fan of. I didn't really like it. But it wasn't until the EDP Intense version came out that I actually enjoyed a flanker of a very popular fragrance, Libre, from Yves Saint Laurent. I just didn't like the original. It just wasn't me. I don't know what it was. Maybe the lavender was just too heavy. But when the Intense version came out, I liked it much, much better. This is a floral fragrance with a very recognizable combination of florals and sweetness that I detect some version of in many popular designer fragrances. It's this orange blossom, vanilla, tonka combination. This one, however, has, I think Libre is famous because it has lavender in it. And I prefer this version. The lavender isn't as maybe sharp. There was just something about the original. There's something missing in this one that I didn't like in the original. And I find very, very pretty in this one. This is another fairly all year round fragrance. This one, to me, I think works better in colder weather. It's not one I would pull for in the dead of summer, especially daytime, maybe as a date night scent, but I usually grab something tropical or freshy in the hot weather. But in the colder weather, in my opinion, is when this one really, really shines. So the next one needs no introduction as well. I have had some version of this fragrance for several years. I had not been reaching for it because my collection has just gotten so large, but I have a lot of good memories of this fragrance in the colder months, particularly fall and spring, when I used to wear it all the time. And it is Angel. This is my preferred version of Angel. The EDP Angel, the original, can be really hard for people. And I'm the first one to admit the opening wasn't my favorite. I do enjoy Angel in the dry down. And this version has some of the off-putting notes in the Angel EDP that are missing. This is a lighter version. It has like green apple. It's a little bit brighter. It's a little bit fresher. The praline note has been removed. The white chocolate note has been removed. The patchouli's not as strong. This is very pretty. And I would wear this all the time when my daughter was in middle school, and I would drive her and her friends around everywhere. And every time even little kids would get in the car, they would say, "Oh, Miss Chris, you smell so good." And it was always Angel. And it's just a much easier Angel to wear, and I enjoy wearing it in the fall and in the spring. So the next one up is one of my favorite designer fragrances, and it is by Bottega Veneta. This is the original. I forgot to put this in my video, fragrances that I bought, because I smelled them on someone else. That is this fragrance right here. I completely forgot. I was in downtown Chicago at a gym, and I walked by this very put together woman at an exercise class. It was through Class Pass, which kind of substantially decreased in popularity after the pandemic. But it was nice that you could travel to any city and go to almost any gym in any other town. But I smelled this lovely lady. She was totally put together. I have no problem asking people what fragrance they're wearing, because if it smells good, I'd like to get a bottle for myself. And the woman told me Bottega Veneta, and so it was, I think the next day I went straight to one of the shops in Chicago and picked it up. This one has a little boo-boo. I actually dropped it and the bottle cracked. The bottle cracked and chipped, but it's so thick that the break didn't go all the way through. So I took my handy dandy glue gun and bandaged it right up. So it's still good to go, even though it doesn't look very pretty. But this is a beautiful, classic designer fragrance. It is very classy smelling. It has leather in it. I don't get leather in the classic sense. I get more suede. I think this has pink pepper. It has patchouli. It has oak moss. So it is a chypre fragrance, and it's just beautiful. And it's one of the fragrances I've also had people ask me in the lunch line. One of the very few fragrances people have tracked me down, tapped me on the shoulder, and asked me what I was wearing. Gorgeous fragrance. And fall and spring, particularly fall, is when I really love to wear this one. The next one here needs no introduction. I think it lost a lot of fans because of its price point. It's very, very expensive. Admittedly, I would have never purchased it if I didn't get it at a significant discount at the cosmetics company store, and it is Tom Ford Lost Cherry. I still think this is absolutely gorgeous. It is a cold weather fragrance to me. It is a syrupy, boozy maraschino cherry fragrance. Yes, it gets some hate because the performance isn't great. But I will tell you that my daughter, who is just starting to get into perfumes, will sneak in and wear this, and I can tell, because I'll smell her maybe 4 or 5 hours later, and I know it's Lost Cherry. It has a pretty distinctive scent profile. So I would say moderate. It's not a beast. It's not a monster. This will not last you forever. It doesn't have huge projection. And in the cold weather, it fights a little bit harder to last, but I still love it. I would not pay full price for it, but at the price I got it for, which was, I think, 55% off, I love it at that price point, and it's lovely for fall. So the next one is new to me from last year, and it was a subscriber or a viewer actually recommended it to me in one of the comments of one of my videos. And I picked it up. She said, "Hey, I think you're going to love this fragrance," and she's right, I do. But I have to admit, I love almost everything from the Yves Saint Laurent Le Vestiaire line, and this is no exception. It is Rouge Velours, and it smells like the juice looks. This is a rose, jasmine, pink pepper, patchouli fragrance. I'm sure it has other notes in here, but that's what I get. It is one of the few fragrances that has a prominent note of jasmine that I really enjoy. It's really lovely. It's strong. It is on the thicker, heavier side. Not a summertime perfume, in my opinion. One that's better for the colder months. To me, I think this is fall. This is a fall fragrance. It's very unique smelling. I'm at the point where I have a great fondness for fragrances that are unique and don't smell like anything I have in my collection, this being one of them. It's a super lovely composition. If you don't like any of those notes, this would not at all be a safe one. And I've always said there are no safe blind buys. Trust me, I hear it in the comments. But this is one I'm going to be pulling for in the fall. Okay, the next one is another one that I was not a big fan of the original at all. When the OG of Good Girl came out, didn't like it at all. And it wasn't until a couple years later, maybe last year, that I gave a few of the flankers a go or a try. And the one I think is great for fall is this one right here. It's Good Girl Supreme. I have Good Girl, the original. I still don't love it at all. But I love these bottles. I'm one of those, I think you either hate or love the bottles. I think they're cute and very unique. They're kind of cute. So I fall into that category. And this is a different version. This still has the white flowers in the original Good Girl, but this is a much fruitier version. It has some sweetness. There's tonka in here. I don't know if the praline note is in here that is in the original, but it's just a fruitier, it's a fruitier version, but it's still something that a grown-up would feel comfortable wearing. There's nothing, it's just a bit pared down. There's still almond in here, but the almond is toned down. It's not as loud. There are a lot of notes in the original that are missing in here, and I think this has vetiver, where the original may not. Not as syrupy sweet, it's a little bit drier. And this one is not a beast. I would say moderate projection, moderate performance, but this one and the Légère are would be my go-tos in this line for fall. Now I'm a big fan of woody fragrances, particularly fragrances that contain sandalwood. I could do an entire video on sandalwood fragrances. I've probably have 20 sandalwood fragrances, and if you'd like to see that video, let me know in the comments below. But the one designer sandalwood fragrance that I'm definitely going to be pulling for in the fall is Tom Ford Santal Blush. I don't know if this is the old version. I think this is the old version. Another one I got at the cosmetics company store. I got this because one of my friends here on YouTube and Instagram let me know that there was one at the cosmetics company store, and so I scooped it right up. I felt like I didn't need it at full price, but at 50% off, you bet I wanted to add it to my collection. This is a lovely, creamy, this is all about sandalwood, of course, but it's a spicy sandalwood that maintains its smooth creaminess. So one of the reasons I did not purchase it at first for a while is because I looked up the notes, and some of those notes were very scary. There are a lot of spices in here, and some of the spices are spice rack spices instead of cooking spices that I gravitate towards. So like spice rack spices, I think there's caraway seed, maybe there's cumin, a whole host of notes that I just was a little bit afraid of, and it took me a while to get the sample. And then when I got the sample, I was really surprised that what I picked up the most, the spices, were actually the baking spices. I get a huge dose of cinnamon in here, and that's what I love. I love cinnamon in fragrances, so this is a creamy, spicy, sweet, smooth sandalwood that also has cedar in it, but the sandalwood, the creamy sandalwood, is what is the star of this show. I think it also has oud. I don't really get oud. It's not a powerhouse fragrance. It has decent longevity, at least, 6 hours, but it's not going to suffocate anybody. It's not overpowering, and I adore it, and I'm really glad I picked it up. And the last one is one of my favorite fragrances for sure. It will definitely be in my upcoming signature scent video. If I had a signature scent, this would definitely be in the running, and it is class in a bottle. This is Chanel Coromandel. I love it. This has all the things that I love in a fragrance, or fragrances that I am drawn to. It has amber in here. It has patchouli. It's resinous and has incense. But there's also a sweetness to this. This is the EDP version, which has white chocolate, and I get the white chocolate on my skin when my skin heats up. Like I put this on my skin and I'm wearing a sweater. That's when I really get that white chocolate sweetness. The patchouli in here is unique in that someone referred to this before as smelling like wet cement, and I definitely get that. So you really have to be a fan of patchouli to embrace this fragrance. And 10 years ago, I might have not embraced it like I do today. I wasn't always a big patchouli fan, but this is absolutely stunning. It is gorgeous, one of my very favorite designer fragrances of all time. And to me, it shines in the colder weather, and a great fragrance for fall. And I think that does it. That was 10 of my top designer choices for fall. They're ones that I have in my collection that I will be pulling for in the next several months, and I'm really excited to wear them. And I'd love to hear about your favorite designer fall fragrances in the comments below. In the next couple weeks, I'll do my top 10 niche fragrances for fall. And with that, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you on the next one. And it is Yves Saint Laurent Libre Intense. Now, I was not a fan at all of, what is my dog doing out in the yard? She has an electric fan. Fanny! Fanny, come here. Fanny, come here. Oh my Lord, come here, honey.